Executable step number 7, and that's finding a buyer for this property. Finding buyers they're everywhere. And I think that's the hardest thing for people to see when they get into real estate is you don't see people holding up a sign saying, hey, I'm looking to buy an investment property, but you see properties out there for sale by owner. We have to market these people, okay? Now, where do we advertise these? You could do Zillow, Craigslist, you could create a yard sign, put a flyer box in there. It's about getting that message out. If you are a member of a local real estate investment club, there's probably buyers already there. So definitely spread the word. Hey, I've got this property at such and such address. Drive by, take a look, see if you're interested. And that's all you're doing at this point is just marketing for that investor. Now, keep in mind, there's only going to be one buyer that's actually going to buy the property. So what do you do with all the other phone calls that you got from other investors? That's right. You're going to build your buyers list off your very first property. That's exactly what I did. My very first wholesale deal, I put an ad in the paper and I had people calling me. Tons of people calling me about this property, but only had one investor actually buy it. So I took down all the information about what those other investors were looking for, what area, what price points, and I started to build a good list. So my very next deal, I never marketed the property. All I did was call my list of investors, which makes your job so much easier to do when you start doing that. So there's a few tips there, but showing the property, here's a good tip for you. When you get calls or you advertise or you're talking to your list of investors, I want you to tell them, hey, drive by the address. If you're interested, give me a call and then I'll schedule a time to go look at it. So I'm going to call all my investors and do that. Drive by, take a look, see if you're interested. The last thing you want to do is run back and forth to these properties every time somebody calls. Maybe you schedule one day that, hey, I'm going to show it on Saturday, so drive by, see if you're interested. And if you're interested, I'll be showing the property between 1 and 3 on Saturday. That way you can get all the competition to come right at the same time. That's just going to help you sell this property even faster. So let them go through the property. They don't need you to tell them what to do. They're investors. They've already probably bought numerous properties and have rehabbed them. So let them go through that on their own, and I think you're going to be just fine. Now, stick to your guns on price, okay? So I encourage you to, what are we selling this property for? Obviously, we're going to be selling it for more than what we have it under contract with the owner, but stick to your price, and I think that's key. You're always going to have room to negotiate, and I promise you, every investor is going to want to negotiate with you, but stick to your price as best you can, okay? And there's always going to be a buyer for it. I always was told years ago, if you buy it right, you'll always find a buyer. So I hope these tips helped you in step number 7, and look forward to seeing you on executable step number 8, putting it under contract with the buyer. Now, there's a couple of different ways that we can actually do this, okay? And that's what we need to determine how to sell. So I want to break those two pieces down for you so you can figure out which way you need to go with this. Now, years ago, 99% of my deals, I would do what was called an assignment of contract. This is basically nothing more than I have a contract with the seller. I then print up an assignment of contract, and I'm assigning my interest and selling my interest in this contract over to the new buyer for a fee. And that's nothing more. So the buyer ultimately is going to see the agreement that you have with the seller. But it's okay to pay you money, and that's what wholesaling is all about, is for you to hit the streets, talk to the owners, get a good price where they don't have to pound the streets and do all that crazy work because they're too busy buying houses and rehabbing houses and selling houses. They need you, the wholesaler, out there finding these great deals. Now, there's positives and negatives with everything on this one. So the plus is there's no closing costs because if I assign my agreement over to that new buyer, they ultimately are taking over that agreement. Okay, so the seller and the new buyer are ultimately going to closing, do the deal together where we're just kind of getting a fee for that. Now, the negative is the buyer's going to see your profit. So if you're assigning the deal, they can see the numbers, but that's okay. Don't think of this as, oh my gosh, I can't let the buyer know what I'm making. Trust me, investors would love for you to get out there and find these deals. Now, you may not make as much per deal, but you'll do a lot more deals because you're going to have those investors lined up ready to go to buy your property. Now, the next one is a double close. So a double close is the contract that you had with the seller. You're going to print up another contract. In this case, you are the seller and the new buyer is the buyer. Okay, we're over here, you're the buyer, but in this agreement, you are the seller. Okay, and there's ultimately, I'm going to go to closing with the seller. 5 minutes later, I'm going to go to closing with the new buyer over here. 2 separate rooms. Now, why would I do this? Well, my general rule of thumb is if you're going to make less than $15,000, do an assignment. But if I'm going to make $50,000 on this deal, I don't want my new buyer to see how much money I'm going to make. It's just a perception where they're going to come in and say, Chris, I'm not letting you make 50 grand on me. And it wouldn't matter if they made 250 grand. It's just the fact that they're paying you 50 grand. So I don't want them to see how much I'm going to make, or I'm going to have to do what's called the double close, which ultimately are 2 closings. And then what happens is after the 2 closings, the title company does the research. They make sure all the paperwork is correct in each one. And then ultimately the new buyer is going to be the end buyer. They're the ones bringing in all the money. It's called a pass-through closing. You don't need to know all the ins and outs about how that happens. That's what a title company is for. That's what a real estate attorney is for that does closings. So don't get too tied up. But what are the positives and negatives of this? Well, it's the exact opposite. So the plus is the buyer doesn't see your profit. So if you're going to make more than 15 grand, you may want to consider doing a double close. Now, what's the negative? We actually have closing costs because we physically have to close with the seller as well as the new buyer in 2 different closing costs. But heck, if I'm going to make $50,000 wholesaling this, I don't really care. I just want to get the deal done. And I think that's the most important thing. Don't always get so greedy. Just get the deal done because there's always going to be another one. Okay, so I hope these tips helped you in executable step number 8.